What is up guys, I hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're covering r/IDontWorkHereLady. As always, support the artists. Without them, our channel wouldn't be half as interesting. Their information is in the description below. If you're new here, we're a community-based narration channel, and if you enjoy the content, why not consider liking, subscribing, and maybe just clicking that notification bell. And with that being said, let's get into today's stories. Our first story is from The Unkindled Lives. No, you're not the owner's daughter. So about a year or so ago, I decided I wanted to go to a bar, so I hit up a friend to go out that night. He had a family thing, but since we know the owner of the place, I figured I'd hang out at the bar until his arrival and have the pool table secured by the time he got there. So about 11 PM, I make my way to the bar, go behind the counter and fist bump the owner, explain my friend's coming and just hang out there with him and the only employee meanwhile. At one point, the owner goes out back to the bathroom and the employee goes to take a phone call outside, so I'm just drinking my beer and checking my phone as I'm in a hold the fort capacity. You know, don't let anyone else behind the counter. Since it's open on the end and there's sort of a hallway leading to the pool tables on the back section, and if people get behind the counter, well, that's where all the booze is. Enter the lady of the hour, about 20, blonde, air-filled head. We call her CB for Crazy Beach. I see her shaking her opened hand over the counter on my peripheral vision. So I look up thinking maybe it's someone I know, but no, she just starts berating me. CB says, "Oh my god, quit drinking in the job and serve us already. We've already been here for years trying to flag you down." I say, "Oh no, I'm not a..." and she's cutting me out. "And leave the effing phone already. You're supposed to do your job. We want our drinks already. We're paying for your salary, you lazy fucker." Me, losing patience. "Look kitten, I don't work here, I'm just having a drink, so..." And CB's cutting me out again. "Shut up, I'm the owner's daughter, just make our drinks or I'll have my daddy fire you." Her friend by her had the most smug face I've ever seen, and at this point I lost it and broke out laughing my ass off. I turn around and see the owner rushing over with some guy behind him. Apparently this unsung hero saw the mess get started and went to get him. I grab him by the shoulder and in a panicked voice, "Oh my god, this is terrible." Owner says, What is it?" I say, "You fucked some bitch when you were 10 or so, and this girl," pointing to CB, "says she's your daughter. Whatever will you do now? Your wife is going to kill you." He caught up what was going on and started laughing, then I broke down as well. He told the CB and her smug friend to get lost. They sputtered something about her dad, but my friend just turned the counter's light towards his own face and said, "I own this place, get the hell out." The two smug princesses stood up in a huff and left just as my other friend walked in. They shoved him aside and tried to slam the door, only to have it snag on one of the purses and throw them both on the curb without slamming the door, because you can't slam self-closing doors. I hate people with smug faces. That's just one of those stories that you'd love to be there and see, especially sitting in a bar just watching that unfold. Our next story is from Lords of Dupe. I don't work for you, Karen, and I won't. I do a lot of work with lumber and sell finished products to a select few clients, mostly smaller stores. This puts me into shops and markets fairly often, around 3 to 4 times a month, usually delivering the goods or picking up the trade in stock/parts, depending on the arrangements. That said, I just got home from a drop-off and pick-up routine, having scored a solid win with what I admit was a subpar, retooled handicap-friendly working desk and cabinet pairing. In exchange, I got my hot little hands on a ridiculous, underpriced black walnut I have plans for, meaning I'm having an awesome day. Cue the arrival of the Wonder Twins at my workshop door, pounding loud enough that I can hear it over my music. My shop, my rules, my pick of the tunes. I walk to the door dressed in my flannel finery and fresh sawdust, not happy with anyone but the select few people who know not to knock on my door if they can hear me playing music. I don't do walk-in customers, nor allow visitors inside the shop. Karen said, "Did you or did you not build my husband a set of pantry shelves last week?" I say, "Probably. I know that I definitely delivered some to a seller. Yes, last month, 2 days before Thanksgiving." Karen said, "Whatever. We demand a refund. Take them out immediately." I said, "No, I don't do installation or removal. That's not a me department issue. You may leave now." Karen tries to jostle past me and get into the working area of the shop. I say, "Okay, this is a language barrier issue. See yourself out and don't come back, like, ever. Nobody is going to be allowed inside of the shop." Karen says, I demand the refund and I will be getting my refund immediately. I'll call the police. I say, have at it, cowgirl. I'll be pressing charges for what it's worth. I don't know you. Karen dials her phone, ranting and raving. I look at the shop and monitor her for the duration. Karen smugly, you're going to get arrested, you sanctimonious prick. Sure. I'll be over here smoking a cigarette. Karen says, I forbid you to smoke. Yeah, not going to happen. My property, my smoking rules. Kicksand lady, I'm thinking. I smoke, she fumes, the police arrive and park in my driveway. This doesn't bother me, as I couldn't give a rat's touche what my neighbours think. Karen says, arrest this man for fraud and assault, he threatened me. Me, pointing to the cameras installed on my shop exterior, shrugging. Cue the cops nodding to see what she's ranting about. Me retrieving the laptop from the dining room table and bringing it out to them. I say, so, to help clear up some confusion, I can show you guys the video. The cops say, yes please, step over there, please. I oblige. They review the video. Karen suddenly changes the narrative. I'm her employee. Her husband is on the way to prove it. I stole stuff. What? I ask what it is that I purportedly stole, and for the description, none available. She demanded access to the shop, saying she definitely saw it earlier in the day, definitely close to her lunch break. Double what? I tell the cops to scroll back around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, then she's changing the timeline to yesterday. Again, I asked for a specific time of day. Another change of narrative. Now, I've stolen cash from her. Yeah, my patience died with that one. I say, if she can't get or keep her story straight, allow me to do something with mine. I don't know her, husband, or their many problems. I do know that she's trying to get into my shop and I will be pressing charges for the attempts, plus trespassing and being a expletive deleted. Not my finest moment. Cops scribble their notes, take our names and details, escort her from the property and remind her not to make it difficult on herself by returning. They make a reasonable request that nobody presses charges, which is cool with me. Karen required further discussion on the topic and similarly obliges. I close up the shop for a night, sit on my French porch and wait. Doesn't take long before her husband shows up. Not demanding a damn thing, just issuing a well-worn apology for his wife's behaviour. We shake hands, share a few laughs, and I do indicate that I have no interest in being part of any Furniture Direct transactions with him. I do point out where he can get more of my finished product, if he's so inclined enough that he goes to a place that I do not envy. I fired the client, who gave out my address to Karen, and I stated that I would not be able to fulfill any future business with them. I don't mind the loss, and can probably get a better gig if I wait for it. Suffice to say, it's not been a good day so far, on the average. If you're reading this, Karen, and I mean from the bottom of my heart, I hope that you fall on your keys and stub your toes on Legos in the dark. Thank you for coming for my TED Talk. Our next story is from Usually Unconvinced. I wonder where he was planning to fly before he decided I was an airport employee. Happy New Year, people. Last year, 2018, I was with my girlfriend in a bar at a British airport waiting for a flight to the US. We had some time to kill because our flight was one of the many delayed by the weather. The bar was busy with lots of people in the same situation. After a long queue to get served, we luckily found a small table away from the crowd and sat down. On my way I noticed a beer-bellied man and angry-faced wife further back in the queue, complaining very loudly. He had the red nose of a heavy drinker, so I call him Rudolph. I was wearing a dark blue jacket and pale blue shirt and black chinos, very casual and nothing like the staff who were wearing black polo shirts with bright yellow piping and logos, gold name tags and black trousers. After I had been sitting with my girlfriend for a minute, we discovered that one of us was a clumsy twat. The clumsy twat knocked his drink over with his elbow. I did my best to mop it up with the napkins on the table, but they were slightly less absorbent than the marble, so I was just steering beer all around the table. Like the good-hearted and responsible citizen that I am, I suggested to my girlfriend that I don't think anyone saw. Let's fuck off sharpish. But no, Mrs. Goody Two-Shoes said, go to the bar and ask for a cloth. I quickly asserted my manly dominance over her by going to the bar and asking for a cloth. As I was wiping up my lager, Rudolph approached me. He looked about my age, 30s. He sounded about 5 pints ahead of me in the drinks race. He tapped my arm heavily. He asked me, why is it taking so long to get served? I answered, it's busier than usual. It's probably the extra customers because of the flight delays. For some reason, my attempt to explain made him angry. He barked at me. All the more reason that it should be all hands to the pumps behind the bar. I must have looked surprised by his anger. I said, I suppose you're right. Well, he said loudly enough to have heads turning. Well, what? I responded. This answer absolutely lit him up. I'm not sure what the exact words, because he was trying to talk much faster than his mouth could manage. The point he was apparently trying to make through the shouting and spitting that I should be behind the fucking bar serving drinks, instead of tossing about and tidying the fucking tables. That's when it clicked with me that he thought I was an employee. I said, "I don't work behind the bar, I'm just..." That sentence would have finished, "I'm just a customer like you," but he cut me off. I was still wiping up the mess with a large cloth in my right hand. He grabbed my right wrist and continued his tirade. I told him very clearly to let go of me. My girlfriend saw what was happening and quickly stood up. She put her hands around my left arm and asked me to stay calm. She told Rudolph he doesn't work here. Rudolph didn't hear or didn't understand, because his response to her was, "Mind your own fucking business." I was a little peeved by that. I saw Mrs. Rudolph trundling over towards us, pushing the crowd aside. She looked like a member of rugby team's drag act, and I assumed that she was coming over to tag team me. I used both my hands to lock his left wrist. I pulled him towards me as he instinctively pulled back. I changed from pulling to pushing and helped him fall backwards into the furniture. He went over with the grace of a newborn elephant. His wife tried to help him up, but that project failed and she fell onto him. While the two of them wriggled on each other, my girlfriend said very clearly, "Do not hit him." We started to walk out with my girlfriend in front of me. After a few more seconds of floor comedy, Rudolph got up and followed us. I turned to face him and he took a swing for me, a slow, wide, drunken telegraph right hook. I think a sedated stroke patient could have avoided it. I leaned back out the way and his fist went past me and carried on. His momentum meant he continued with a punch until the rotation took him too far and he fell over his own feet again. As he stood up from the beer puddle he landed in, I just laughed at the two tones his blue shirt had become because of the huge wet patches. As you can imagine, this improved his mood enormously. He charged for me. I slid left with a little push on his right side and he missed me again. This time he stayed on his feet. When he turned, he would have gone for me another time, but he noticed that the police had arrived in the bar. Mrs. Rudolph had called the police and pointed at me and claimed that I assaulted her and her husband. I was expecting some sort of support from the crowd. I wasn't expecting a round of applause, but maybe someone saying, "No, he didn't hit him." Instead, all I could see were couples gossiping and people trying to improve their position in their phones for filming, and the queue reforming. The police, as you'd expect, separated us, and one listened to Rudolph while the second one listened to me. The one was interviewing me and my girlfriend was interrupted by a third officer. They stepped away. It became clear that Cop 3 had seen CCTV. Cop 3 went to Rudolph's interviewer and did the same. Cop 2 explained that they'd seen the video and they satisfied themselves that I wasn't to blame. He asked me to go with him to make a statement. After discussing how long it'd take, I decided I'd rather not risk missing the flight, so I'd do it after we returned. And I took the officer's card. At the time, Rudolph and his wife started yelling. My guess would be that the police had given him the bad news about the video evidence. He wouldn't calm down, so they cuffed him and led him away. Cop 2 told me that Rudolph was arrested. He'd been taken to the police station at the airport, and possibly the main station if he needed to be detained. Either way, his bags would be removed from the flight. He was booked on because he wouldn't be allowed to fly today. When I returned to Britain, I phoned the officer as promised. Rudolph had been transferred to the main police station because he couldn't be interviewed until he was sober. After a night in the cell, he'd become very cooperative. He had one conviction for assault 11 years earlier, so the police decided to deal with this offence by giving Rudolph a formal caution. It doesn't carry any punishment, but it will be taken into account if he offends again. Going back to the day of the incident, after all the excitement was over, my girlfriend and I settled into our flight. She said she was very pleased with me for staying calm and not being more violent. She hinted that there may be a special reward. I mentioned that I never joined the Mile High Club, and if she felt like rewarding my good behaviour, we could slip into the toilet for a quickie. I'll always remember her reply, "You can fuck right off." Sounds like my kind of girl. Anyway guys, I really hope you enjoyed today's stories. I really enjoyed reading those ones. They're really good. Especially that last one, really well written as well, which makes it so much better to read. If you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe button, and maybe that notification bell. And I will see you in the next one. Much love, guys.